In 2145, Earth was on the brink of destruction. Towering cities that once thrummed with life now lay shrouded in fear, under constant threat from the Zephyrians, a ruthless alien coalition intent on harvesting human resources and enslaving the survivors. As panic swept across the globe, governments scrambled for a solution. The Vanguard program, a long-dormant initiative, was finally revived, aiming to create super soldiers from humanity's best and brightest. Captain Alara Hart stood at the threshold of the newly constructed training facility, an imposing structure nestled deep within the mountains. The air was thick with the scent of metal and sweat, the tension palpable. She was a seasoned warrior, renowned for her strategic brilliance and unparalleled combat skills. Yet as she gazed at the recruits waiting to begin their transformation, doubt gnawed at her. Would they be enough to turn the tide against the Zephyrians? The recruits were a diverse group, selected from various military backgrounds and fields of expertise. Some had decorated pasts, while others were mere civilians, thrust into a role they never asked for. Alara's heart ached for them. They would be subjected to rigorous training that would push their bodies and minds to the limits. Each of them bore scars, both visible and invisible, and she could sense the weight of their fears. As the training commenced, Alara faced the challenge of molding these individuals into a cohesive unit. The first days were grueling, filled with relentless physical training, survival exercises, and simulations that tested their endurance. Laughter and camaraderie blossomed amid the sweat and exhaustion, slowly transforming the recruits from strangers into a family. They shared stories of loss and hope, and with every struggle, Alara saw flickers of potential in them. However, the pressure mounted. The second week introduced psychological assessments designed to probe their weaknesses. Alara observed as each recruit faced their worst fears, a harrowing process that left some in tears. One recruit, Marcus, a former athlete, broke down during a simulated combat scenario, haunted by memories of friends lost in the initial alien attacks. Alara intervened, reminding him of the strength he had shown in training, urging him to channel his pain into determination. Together, they turned his grief into a fierce resolve, igniting a fire within him. As the days turned into weeks, Alara and her team of instructors pushed the recruits harder, refining their combat skills and instilling a sense of discipline. They studied alien technology, learning to manipulate advanced weapon systems that the Zephyrians used against them. The recruits began to adapt, showing signs of extraordinary resilience. But Alara knew they would face real-life combat soon, and doubts still lingered in her mind. In the final week of training, a surprise evaluation tested everything they had learned. Alara led the recruits into a simulated war zone designed to replicate a Zephyrian stronghold. The stakes were high, and as they navigated through obstacles and ambushes, Alara felt her heart race. With every challenge, the recruits showcased their skills, surprising even her with their ingenuity and tenacity. When the simulation ended, she gathered them around, pride swelling in her chest. They had transformed from disparate individuals into a formidable unit. As she looked into their eyes, she saw not just soldiers but warriors ready to fight for their planet. The moment felt significant. They were more than a team now. They were the last hope for humanity, and together, they would rise to face the impending storm. Freshly trained and emboldened, the Vanguard gathered in the briefing room, a sleek chamber lined with holographic displays showcasing recent alien incursions. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and nervous energy. Captain Alara Hart stood at the front, projecting a calm demeanor despite the weight of the mission ahead. This would be their first real operation, a rescue mission targeting a Zephyrian outpost rumored to be holding captured civilians. Failure was not an option. As Alara outlined the plan, she noticed the intensity in her team's eyes. Marcus, now filled with purpose, sat at the edge of his seat, leaning forward with excitement. The others showed a mix of determination and anxiety, each recalling the grueling training that had prepared them for this moment. Alara spoke with conviction, emphasizing the importance of unity and trust, as they would soon face formidable foes who sought to destroy everything they held dear. Remember, we are not just soldiers, we are humanity's last hope. Each of you has a role to play. Trust in your training, trust in each other, she said, her voice steady as she laid out the intricate details of the operation. As they moved into the tactical planning phase, Alara divided the team into specialized squads. Marcus would lead the ground infiltration group, using his agility and combat skills to navigate the enemy's defenses. Aisha, a tech expert, was tasked with hacking into the Zephyrian systems to disable security measures. The atmosphere was electric, a palpable sense of camaraderie building as they finalized their strategy. Under the cover of darkness, the Vanguard deployed to the outskirts of the Zephyrian outpost, hidden in the thick foliage of the surrounding forest. The team moved with practiced stealth, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they approached the perimeter. Aisha initiated her hacking sequence, fingers flying over the digital interface. Tension mounted as they waited for her to breach the alien security protocols. Suddenly, alarms blared, echoing through the night. The Zephyrians had detected their presence. Alara's heart raced as she barked commands, urging her team to adapt quickly. "Stay sharp, we need to move now," she shouted, and they darted into action. Marcus led the charge, darting through shadows and evading blaster fire as the Zephyrian guards scrambled to respond. The team split into smaller units, using their training to cover one another and navigate the chaos. Alara felt a surge of pride as she watched her recruits rise to the occasion, showcasing their skills in combat. Marcus, with newfound confidence, executed a series of acrobatic maneuvers, disarming an enemy soldier and neutralizing him with precision. As they fought their way deeper into the outpost, they faced an unexpected wave of resistance. Zephyrian drones emerged, their mechanical eyes scanning the area, ready to unleash devastating energy blasts. Aisha quickly shifted gears, deploying a countermeasure she had crafted during training. With a few deft keystrokes, she sent a pulse of energy that temporarily disabled the drones, allowing the Vanguard to push forward. Alara led her team into the heart of the facility, where the hostages were held. They found a grim scene, terrified civilians shackled and guarded by alien sentinels. The sight fueled their resolve. With tactical efficiency, they executed a rescue plan, freeing the hostages and ensuring their safety. But just as victory seemed within reach, they were met by the Zephyrian commander, a towering figure cloaked in dark armor. The commander demanded surrender, his voice dripping with contempt. Alara felt a surge of defiance. "We don't surrender," she declared, positioning her team for a decisive confrontation. The ensuing battle was fierce, with Alara leading the charge, each recruit fighting with unparalleled determination. The clash between humanity and the alien threat became a symbol of their resilience. In the chaos, the Vanguard emerged victorious, driving the commander back and ensuring the safe escape of the hostages. As they fled the outpost, the thrill of their first successful mission surged through them. They had not only rescued innocent lives, but had proven to themselves that they were more than just soldiers. They were a force to be reckoned with. The weight of their victory ignited a fire within each of them, solidifying their commitment to protect humanity at all costs. Back at the Vanguard base, the atmosphere buzzed with exhilaration following their successful mission. Alara Hart stood in the command center, watching as the team reunited with the rescued hostages. Laughter and relief filled the air, but beneath the surface lay an undercurrent of urgency. The Zephyrians were not merely invaders, they were a strategic and cunning enemy. Their first victory had only intensified Alara's resolve to uncover the truth behind the alien force threatening humanity. As the team regrouped, Alara summoned her squad for a debriefing. The mood was celebratory, but she could sense an underlying tension. They had faced incredible odds and emerged victorious, yet the weight of what they had learned lingered in the air. Aisha, the tech expert, tapped away at her console, analyzing data from their previous mission. The holographic screens flickered with images of alien technology, revealing intricate schematics that hinted at a far more complex operation than they had anticipated. "We've only scratched the surface," Aisha said, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The Zephyrians have been developing a weapon, something capable of obliterating entire cities. We need to find out more." Alara nodded, her mind racing with the implications. "Then we need to infiltrate one of their main facilities. If we can gather intelligence on this weapon, we can develop a plan to counter it before it's too late." The team sprang into action, poring over the intelligence Aisha had gathered. They scoured satellite images, identifying a heavily fortified Zephyrian outpost deep in a remote desert region. Alara studied the layout, noting the high-tech defenses and security protocols. It would be a dangerous mission, but the prospect of discovering the aliens' plans invigorated her. As night fell, the Vanguard prepared for their next operation. Under the cloak of darkness, they deployed to the desert, moving stealthily through the rugged terrain. The night was eerily silent, the only sound being the crunch of sand beneath their boots. Aisha led the way, her equipment humming as she hacked into the outpost's security systems, providing them access to the perimeter. Once inside, the Vanguard navigated the labyrinth of hallways, their senses heightened. The facility was filled with alien technology that hummed and pulsed with life, casting an eerie glow on their faces. They encountered small groups of Zephyrian guards, each skirmish revealing the effectiveness of their training. The recruits fought bravely, working seamlessly as a unit, showcasing their skills as they pressed deeper into the facility. As they delved further, they stumbled upon a massive chamber lined with enormous machines, each one pulsating with energy. Holographic screens displayed schematics of an incomprehensible weapon, a monstrous construct designed for destruction on a planetary scale. Aisha's eyes widened as she pieced together the information, revealing the device's catastrophic potential. "This is it," Aisha whispered, her fingers racing over her console. "We need to download this data. It could be the key to saving Earth." Just as she initiated the transfer, the alarms blared, flooding the chamber with red lights. The Zephyrians were onto them. Alara quickly assessed their options. "We need to hold this position until the download is complete," she ordered. "Prepare for combat." As the team braced for an onslaught, Zephyrian soldiers poured into the room, weapons drawn and ready. The ensuing battle was chaotic and intense, with blaster fire illuminating the chamber. Alara fought with everything she had, her heart racing as she moved strategically through the chaos, directing her team to cover key points. In the thick of battle, Marcus fought valiantly, taking down multiple enemies with fluid motions. Aisha worked frantically at her console, urging the download to complete. Just as it neared its conclusion, a Zephyrian commander appeared, towering and menacing, cutting through their ranks with ease. With the download almost complete, Alara faced the commander in a fierce duel. Their weapons clashed, the sound echoing through the chamber as the battle raged around them. In that moment, Alara realized the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. The survival of humanity rested on their ability to uncover the secrets hidden within the Zephyrian ranks. As the download completed, Aisha shouted, "I got it! Let's move!" With a final strike, Alara defeated the commander, allowing the team to escape just as the facility began to implode under the weight of their conflict. They emerged into the night, hearts pounding, clutching vital information that could change the course of the war. Their resolve to fight for humanity had deepened, and with each mission, they were learning that their greatest strength lay not just in their training, but in their unwavering bond as a team. As the Vanguard returned to their base, victory surged through their ranks, but unease simmered just below the surface. The intelligence they had gathered was crucial, but the toll of their last mission weighed heavily on each member. Elara Hart sensed the shift in the atmosphere. The unbreakable bond they had forged was beginning to fray. The thrill of success was overshadowed by the lingering presence of doubt, amplified by the growing threat from the Zephyrians. Back at headquarters, Elara convened a team meeting, hoping to address the tension before it spiraled out of control. As they gathered in the command center, she noted the somber expressions on their faces. Marcus fidgeted in his seat, his gaze darting between the floor and the digital screens projecting the schematics of the weapon they had uncovered. "We did well," Elara began, her voice steady. "We gathered vital intelligence that could turn the tide of this war. But I can sense that something is off. We need to talk about it." Aisha, usually quick to share her thoughts, hesitated before speaking. "I think we're all feeling the pressure. The losses we've faced are starting to catch up with us. It's like we're all waiting for the next blow to fall." The room fell silent, the weight of Aisha's words hanging heavily in the air. Each member shared a moment of vulnerability, revealing fears that had previously been buried. They spoke of nightmares that haunted their sleep, of comrades who had fallen and the price of their victories. Elara listened intently, realizing that they were not just soldiers but human beings grappling with their own limits. As the meeting concluded, Elara felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this honesty would strengthen their bond, but the next day, a shocking revelation shattered that optimism. During a routine security check, Aisha discovered discrepancies in their communication logs. Someone within the Vanguard had leaked critical information to the Zephyrians, and the team was now vulnerable to an ambush. Panic rippled through the ranks as Elara called an emergency meeting. "We have a traitor among us," she announced, her voice firm despite the turmoil within. "We need to figure out who it is before it's too late." As accusations flew, tensions escalated. Marcus and another recruit, Riley, exchanged heated words, each convinced that the other was hiding something. Elara felt a knot tightening in her stomach. She had spent countless hours building this team, and now it felt like it was unraveling at the seams. With no clear answers, Elara decided to take matters into her own hands. She initiated a covert investigation, working late into the night, poring over security footage and communication records. Days turned into a blur of sleepless nights and mounting pressure. The weight of leadership felt heavier than ever. During her investigation, Elara discovered a pattern in the communications, subtle but unmistakable links that pointed to one of the team members. As she pieced the evidence together, her heart sank. It was Riley, the recruit she had trusted and supported. He had been coerced into betraying them by a Zephyrian telepath who preyed on his fears, promising power and protection in exchange for information. Confronting Riley was a delicate task. Elara knew he had acted out of fear, but betrayal cut deep. When she finally confronted him, his eyes were filled with shame and regret. "I didn't mean to. They threatened my family," he stammered, desperation etched into his features. Elara's heart ached for him, but she also understood the implications of his actions. "We're fighting for humanity's survival. You've put us all at risk." As tensions reached a boiling point, the Vanguard prepared for a critical mission to intercept a Zephyrian convoy believed to be transporting captured civilians. They needed every ounce of unity and trust to succeed, but Riley's betrayal loomed like a dark cloud over the team. Elara knew she had to make a choice: confront the betrayal publicly and risk further division, or keep it secret to maintain morale as they faced the impending danger. As the day of the mission approached, Elara wrestled with her decision. In the end, she chose the latter, believing that they needed to focus on the task ahead. But she knew deep down that the fragile thread of trust within the Vanguard was now more delicate than ever, and one misstep could spell disaster for them all. The battle ahead would test not just their skills but their very bonds as a team, and Elara was determined to lead them through it, no matter the cost. The tension in the Vanguard base was palpable as Elara Hart, gathered her team for their next mission briefing. They had just learned about a Zephyrian convoy transporting captured civilians, and the stakes were higher than ever. Alara knew that unity would be essential. They had to put aside their fears and doubts if they were to succeed. As the team assembled, she could feel the weight of the recent betrayal still hanging in the air. Riley had been sidelined, his presence a painful reminder of the vulnerability they faced from within. The team members exchanged glances, uncertainty etched on their faces. Alara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. "Today, we take the fight to them," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "We have the element of surprise, and we can't afford to lose anyone else. This mission is not just about saving lives. It's about sending a message to the Zephyrians that humanity will not back down." With a renewed sense of purpose, they reviewed the mission plan. Aisha had hacked into the Zephyrian systems, pinpointing the convoy's route through a desolate canyon known for its treacherous terrain. It was a risky maneuver, but it also provided the perfect opportunity for an ambush. They would strike swiftly and decisively, aiming to rescue the hostages and cripple the Zephyrian operation in one fell swoop. As they set out, the vast desert landscape loomed around them, its stark beauty a stark contrast to the darkness of their mission. The team moved silently, their hearts pounding in anticipation. Alara felt the weight of her responsibility. She was not just leading soldiers, she was fighting for the future of humanity. The ambush point came into view as they nestled behind rocky outcrops, waiting for the convoy to appear. Tension crackled in the air as the minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Aisha monitored the feeds, her eyes darting between screens, while Marcus and the others prepared their weapons, readying themselves for the inevitable clash. Finally, the low rumble of engines echoed through the canyon, and the Zephyrian convoy appeared, a line of armored vehicles carrying both soldiers and hostages. Alara raised a hand, signaling for silence as she surveyed the scene. Her mind raced with strategies, weighing the risks against the potential for success. "On my mark," she whispered, the team nodding in understanding. 3, 2, 1, now." The Vanguard erupted from their hiding spots, launching a coordinated assault on the convoy. Blaster fire lit up the canyon as they charged forward, each member executing their roles with precision. Aisha hacked the enemy systems on the fly, disabling their defenses and turning the Zephyrians' own technology against them. As chaos unfolded, Alara felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins. She led the charge, expertly navigating through the fray. With each Zephyrian soldier she took down, a flicker of hope ignited within her. They were fighting not just for the hostages, but for every person suffering under the alien regime. In the heart of the battle, Alara spotted a Zephyrian commander rallying his troops. Determined to take him down, she surged forward, her heart pounding as she engaged in a fierce duel. Their weapons clashed, each strike echoing the stakes of their fight. Meanwhile, Marcus and the others worked tirelessly to free the hostages. The civilians, terrified but hopeful, rallied around their rescuers. Together, they fought back against their captors, their resilience inspiring the Vanguard to push harder. Just as Alara gained the upper hand against the commander, the tide of battle shifted. A group of Zephyrian reinforcements arrived, threatening to overwhelm the Vanguard. Alara's heart sank as she realized the precariousness of their situation. "Fall back to the extraction point," she shouted, rallying her team. "We can't lose anyone else." With the hostages in tow, the Vanguard regrouped, fighting their way through the chaos. As they raced toward safety, Alara could feel the weight of their struggles pressing down on her. They had to make it out, not just for themselves, but for those who depended on them. In a final act of defiance, Marcus threw a grenade into the heart of the remaining Zephyrian forces, creating a distraction that allowed them to escape. As they made their way back to the base, Alara felt a mix of triumph and grief. They had rescued lives, but the fight was far from over. The mission had deepened their resolve, but Ilara knew the battle ahead would test them in ways they had yet to comprehend. With each victory came a reminder of the sacrifices they had made. The war against the Zephyrians was just beginning, and the Vanguard would need to be stronger than ever to face the storm that loomed on the horizon. As dawn broke over the Vanguard base, the first rays of sunlight illuminated the aftermath of their latest mission. The air was thick with the scent of scorched metal and dust, remnants of the fierce battle that had unfolded in the canyon. Ilara Hart stood on the observation deck, gazing at the horizon, her heart heavy with the weight of their losses and victories. They had rescued the hostages, but the cost of their success loomed large in her mind. Behind her, the rest of the team began to gather, their faces a mixture of exhaustion and relief. Aisha approached first, a tired smile on her lips as she handed Ilara a data pad filled with reports from the mission. "We did it, Ilara. We saved lives today," she said, her voice filled with both pride and sorrow. Ilara nodded, scanning the reports. "Yes, but we also exposed ourselves to the Zephyrians. They won't take this lightly." The reality of their situation settled heavily over them. The Zephyrian forces would retaliate, and the threat they posed had not diminished. It had only grown stronger. Marcus joined them, his expression thoughtful. "We need to prepare for the next move. They'll come for us, and we need to be ready." The determination in his voice resonated with Ilara, igniting a flicker of hope amidst the shadows of doubt that had begun to creep in. As the sun continued its ascent, the team gathered for a debriefing in the command center. The room buzzed with energy, but Ilara sensed an underlying current of anxiety. Each member knew that the path ahead would not be easy, yet there was a shared understanding that they were no longer just a group of soldiers. They had become a family united by purpose. "Today, we showed the Zephyrians that we are not afraid," Ilara began, her voice steady. "But we must also prepare for the consequences of our actions. They will retaliate, and we need to be ready." The team listened intently, understanding the weight of her words. As they strategized their next moves, Aisha revealed a breakthrough. "I managed to extract more data from the convoy systems. There's something bigger happening, a coordinated assault planned against key human settlements. We need to disrupt their operations before they launch this attack." The gravity of her words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Ilara's heart raced as she realized the implications of Aisha's findings. "Then we must act quickly," she declared, determination surging through her. "We'll target their supply lines and communication hubs. If we can disrupt their plans, we can buy ourselves time and save countless lives." The team worked late into the night, meticulously planning their counteroffensive. As they pored over maps and data, Ilara felt a sense of unity washing over her. They had faced the darkness together, and now they were rising to meet the challenges ahead. Days later, under the cover of night, the Vanguard launched their operation. Armed with the intelligence Aisha had gathered, they infiltrated a key Zephyrian supply depot. The mission was executed with military precision. They moved like shadows, taking out guards and securing vital resources. Aisha worked her magic, disrupting communication lines and sowing chaos among the enemy ranks. As they fought their way through the facility, Ilara felt a surge of hope. Each victory was a testament to their resilience and determination. The bonds forged in battle had become unbreakable, and as they navigated the facility, each member instinctively covered for one another, moving in sync. In a climactic confrontation, they faced a Zephyrian commander similar to the one Ilara had fought before. The tension was palpable as she squared off against him, their weapons clashing amidst the chaos. This time, she fought not just for survival, but for the future of humanity itself. With a fierce determination, Ilara overcame the commander, delivering a decisive blow that echoed through the facility. As the Zephyrian forces crumbled around them, she knew that they had struck a significant blow against their enemy. Emerging victorious, the Vanguard returned to their base, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they had made a difference. As the sun began to rise, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold, Ilara stood with her team, united and unyielding. In that moment, she understood that while the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, they were no longer just fighting for survival, they were fighting for a future. The dawn of a new era was upon them, and as long as they stood together, they would face whatever came their way. The Vanguard had proven that humanity was not just a distant memory in the cosmos. It was a force to be reckoned with, resilient and ready to rise against any threat that sought to extinguish its light.